So welcome to my favorite sports photographer, Michelle.
Hey,
Hello.
Michelle, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be with you today. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. Well, we've had you on our coffee break a handful of times, and it's always been a lot of fun. So I was excited to see that I'd be working with you today. What do you have for us?
So I wanted to share with you tips to recover exposure from backlit portraits.
Awesome.
Because,
I can see how that'd be very helpful.
well, I hope so.
Well, go ahead. Whenever you're ready, you can share your screen and we can dive right in.
Let's go. I'm going to share my screen. You can see it right now?
I can.
Perfect. So just to introduce myself really quickly, I am a sports photographer based in Quebec City on the, well, I'm on the East Coast. So I'm on the East Coast. And I do like action portraiture. I like to call it badass action portraiture. And I often have to work outdoors with really harsh light and hard, lighting conditions with the sun and everything. And I've been using Luminar for more than a couple of years, like quite a few years. And I've kind of find different tricks to recover exposure, and I wanted to share them with you. So there are 4 tools that I really like to use. Maybe you already use some of them. Maybe some of these tricks are going to be new for you. So I hope you're going to find something different to add on your workflow. Let's go with the first image. So we have this gentleman right here, Johan, and you can see that I could hardly be more backlit than this. I mean, the sun is straight facing towards the camera. And this is the edited version. Let me show you the raw file. So this is the raw file. And I've been able to achieve this look with 4 tools. So let me go back to the original file right here. First tool, perhaps you're already using it because it's a really powerful one, really useful one. I use it pretty much on every edit that I do as a staple, as a baseline, is the Enhance AI with the accent. And you can see that the software recognizes what's the scene, and it's like working in a different way if you're showing it like a landscape or a portrait or, and it's going to, and please, Angela, jump in if you want to. I'm not the most technical person in the world. I just like the emotions that this tool is giving me. But I know it recovers exposure, it adds saturation, and it adds contrast and things like that. And everything.
Exactly. So if you actually look in the user guides, if you go up to the help menu and go to the user guide, you don't have to necessarily do it right now, but I wanted people to know where to find it. It actually says in there that it targets 12 different aspects of your image. So definitely exposure, highlights, shadows, contrast, color, all of those things wrapped up into one tool. And it's image aware and subject aware. So it takes a look at what's in your image and analyzes it and makes adjustments appropriately. So whether it's an underexposed image or an overexposed image, it makes the proper adjustments either way, which is really cool.
I love this tool. I use it all the time. And in this case, I'm going to crank it up pretty much. I don't always use it really on a really high value, but in this case, it's worth it. So you can see right away with one single tool, we went from this to this. So it's already looking much better. Now, second tool I wanted to share with you, and it's a trick of mine. Maybe you've already done that. I go to the vignette, and then you have this magic panel here called Advanced Settings, and this is where the magic happens. First, you want to choose your subject, which is really nice because we can move around. Let me play with the amount. You can play around because your subject is not always straight dead in the middle, in the center, like in this picture, but you can move around and just really decide where you want your vignette to be applied. In this case, it's going to be the center. And what I do is I go with the inner light and I increase it. And you can see, let's go crazy just for the sake of showing you what it does. So it's really recovering the exposure in the center of the image. Of course, I won't go crazy like this, maybe just like that. And then I decrease the amount because I don't want it to look like fake, just a really subtle vignette. And look at this, before and after. This is a subtle step, but I feel like for me, what works best is just to add a few layers, all subtle ones, to end up with a great ending result that looks really natural.
That's a great edit. And you did something there that I do too. And I've seen a few other presenters today do it as well, where you take that amount slider all the way down to the -100, and that allows you to more precisely place where you're putting it. And then you pull it back up to where it looks natural. I found that to be so incredibly helpful. I remember when another photographer showed me that trick, and I've done it that way ever since.
That's the same story for me. Ever since I've heard another photographer doing that, I've always done it that way. And I feel it's so much easier to really see where you're applying the effect at first.
Exactly.
Second tool, done. Third tool, and this one, I really hope you're already using it because it's like one of my all-time favorites. It's in the Face AI, the face light. It's amazing. And I think that every time that I'm doing a webinar, I'm always talking about this tool. That's how much I love it. What's really interesting is it's working whether you have one person in the image or if you have 4, 5, 6, or 10 people in the image. It's really cool. And it's going to recognize where are all the faces or where is the face and recover the exposure exactly on the face. So look at this. This is a profile picture. It's not even like facing straight forward. And look at this. I'm going crazy so you could really see what I mean. Like this is what I mean. It's being applied directly and only on the face. And of course, I won't go to 100. Maybe I'll go to, let me see, maybe like 20, 30, just depending on what look I'm going for at the moment. And you can see this is before and after. So this is,
I find really interesting about that is, you've got that backlight. So you have the light that's coming around the edge of your subject's face, that bit of glow around the edge. And the face light worked with that and did it naturally. So it increased that little bit of a halo around his face that's natural from the sunlight, along with adding light to his face. So the overall effect looks great.
It looks natural. It doesn't look like it's being cut.
Exactly.
With added light just there.
Yep.
But that's true. This is what makes it look really natural. And another trick that I wanted to share with you, the fourth one. I'm going back. This is the last one that I'm doing when I'm doing this type of editing. I go back into the color tool. And once again, where the magic happens in the little panel here, this one is HSL. So you can play with hue, saturation, or luminance, but independently. Is it a true English word, independently?
Yep, you used it right.
Okay, thanks. Like in French. So of course, if you're working on a portrait, colors are going to be either red and or orange and or yellow, just depending on like the skin color and the environment where your subject was. And look at this. I go into luminance and I play with these first 3 sliders, the red, orange, and yellow. And I look at the impact that it has on the face. And the goal is to add luminance to these colors. So you can see that there wasn't a lot of red in his skin tone in this image. Oh, fine, okay. Let's go in the orange. Oh, interesting. Now his face, you can see how it enlightens his skin tone. And I'm going to play with the yellow. So there is a lot of yellow in the leaves and everything, and I don't necessarily want to increase luminance in the background. So I'm not going to play with the yellow for now. And you can see before and after. I feel like he might benefit from a little more orange saturation. He looks a little pale to me. So let's just, okay, this looks more like an healthy skin color. And raw file, 4 steps. So I've taken the time like to show you how it works, but I mean, if you know how to do that, it will take like 2-3 minutes max. It's really quick. And I feel like it makes a really natural looking final touch. So these are the 4 steps that I wanted to share with you. So let me add another trick to that.
While you're switching images, I just want to say that's a great tip on using HSL for skin tones. It's not something I typically think of when I'm working with retouching a portrait. So appreciate that. And it looks like Kevin also appreciated that particular tip. So good one.
Thanks, Kevin. Thanks for approving. Once again, this is the edited version, but look at this. This is the raw file. So he was quite underexposed. And when I'm outdoors like this, I expose for highlights, which means that I'd rather recover details from the shadows than trying to recover details from the highlights that are being blown out, where there are no details left because it's just all white. So probably this would have been all white. This would have been all white. Maybe even in the sky. So let's go back to the raw file, the original file. Step number 1, enhance AI, which works wonders to any type of photography, really. You know, already better. We can do better than that. Second step, vignette. I'm saying vignette with my French accent, vignette.
I think I like it better that way.
Yeah, I think it's the real way to say the word, but I like the English version, the accent you're adding to the word. I'm going to add inner light. I also really like to play with the roundness and feather and size, because in this case, I want to apply the inner light mostly like around my subject. So I'm going to downsize the effect. And I feel like it's pretty, not a harsh line, but I want it to be more feathered. So the graduation is more subtle. So I go right here and, oh, this is better. Inner light is already here. I'm going to decrease the amount like this. And look, let's have a look what it looks like. I really like to toggle the on and off button after every step that I do, just to see if I like where it goes and if I need to tweak it or add it a little more or tone it down.
That's a great step. I do that too.
Yeah, I feel like it really helps. And it's, once again, it's subtle, but it's part of the equation. Now I'm going with face AI. Face light, and look at this. I mean, his face is 2 centimeters in the image. I mean, it's really small. And I'm going to zoom on the image. Sorry, I'm looking for my words. Okay, and look at this. I mean, this is magic. I love this tool. It's amazing.
It's incredible.
So let's go back to the original size. I might increase it a little more once again. So if we're looking at the before and after, just for this tool, before, we can barely see his face, and after, it's really cool. And the last step to recover exposure, going back to the color, luminance, and I'm going to play with the red. I don't know if he didn't have a lot of red in his skin tone right now. Orange, oh yes. So this is interesting. And what's really cool is that it's being applied only on the orange portion of the image, which is in this case only the skin. So I don't have to mask anything. I just play with the orange. It's going to work directly on my subject. And let's play with the yellow. You can see that if you just look at the athlete, the yellow also has an impact on the exposure. So what I'm going to do, I feel like he might look a little sick. I feel like because his environment is really green, it's reflecting on his skin tone. So I will help him just a little bit with hue. And let me see with the orange. And sometimes I like to just slide from one side to another. And right now I'm just looking at the athlete. I'm not looking at the leaves. I feel like this might look a little more natural, and maybe I'll go back to luminance. Okay. So as you can see, this effect has been applied to the whole image. What I will do is you just go to add mask. It's a kind of a little pen or a little brush icon here. You click on that and you can change the radius of the brush. I'm going to make it really small because my subject is really small. And I'm going to paint the effect only on my subject so that the background remains the same color. Let's go like this. I'm going to do it pretty fast, just so you can see. Okay. And this is before and after. And if we're looking at the 4 tricks combined, original picture, edited version.
Great transformation.
Thanks.
And I'm kind of at awe at how you're using the luminance sliders to improve exposure and pull up those shadows. I'm usually one to go to either the light tool or super contrast, but that's a great use of it. Usually when I'm using luminance, it's usually to darken down certain colors. I rarely think of using them to lighten. So that's a good reminder that the sliders go both ways.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't really use it to decrease the exposure of the color. So you're reminding me that I can do that as well. And after these 4 steps, then it's easy if you want to add, we were talking about LUTs a little earlier. You can go with mood and then choose a LUT. It's really easy. You just have to scroll through all the LUTs and just pick one that you like. And it's really easy to add, like to stylize your image once your subject exposure has been recovered.
Awesome.
Do we
I like how you incorporated the LUT as well.
You like the LUT?
I do like the LUT, yeah.
Yeah, I like it too. I like Genius. It might not be an accident that's being called Genius.
You're probably right. Well, we've got time for, I think, one more short edit. That
was my question. Great.
Yeah.
I've got the last one. This is a really great skater. His name is Mike. And this is the edited version. And let me show you the original file. So you can see his face was quite underexposed. And I remember taking this picture. It was noon. The sun was harsh. The athlete had a cap, and it's even harder to recover exposure when your subject has a hat on. Let's go back to the original file. So I guess you're starting to know the pattern by now. We start with a accent AI. And in this case, I'm going to do to mask and paint it only on my subject because I don't like, for my taste, I don't want to recover exposure necessarily on the background here. So for the purpose of this webinar, I'm going really fast with masking. And I mean, if I was by myself working on the image, I would have done that, you know, more precisely. But I just want you to see the difference. And I might do that as well. And what's really cool, and that's the last trick I wanted to share with you. What's really cool when you're masking is once you have masked like this mask, you can copy it and paste it. This is really cool. So to do that, you just go on the 3 little dots right here and you click on copy. And then let's say I'm going into, okay, I will do the vignette step first. Go here, like this, inner light, feather. I wanted to make it smaller. I want to choose my subject, more like here. I like that. Before, after, subtle, but we like it. And then, sorry, I'm thinking about 2 different things at once. Let's go into color. Luminance, I'm going to play with the red, the orange, and the yellow. Let me see. Okay. And you can see how it affects also the background, and I don't want that to happen. So you remember when I copied this mask here, I'm going to do it once again, copy. Then you go into another tool, any other tool. I'm going to color and 3 little dots. I'm going to paste it. And it's going to be applied exactly at the same place as my other mask. So it's really cool and it's a big time saver. Let's say you want to paint the same effect, but on different tools. It's really fast to just copy and paste it on all the tools you want to. And of course, we're going with the face AI, face light, this, and there you have it. Before and after.
Another great edit. And the face light, I think, and brightening up his face overall is so important to this image because of you can see the determination on his face. Like he knows where he's going. He knows what trick he's about to do. It's like, I want to see what happens next.
Exactly.
You can see that in his expression. And I love that.
And I didn't talk about it too much, but right under on the face AI tool, you have eyes, and it works really. His eyes are quite small in this image, but if you have a beautiful portrait, the iris flare, the eye enhancer, the dark circles removal, these are all really amazing tools. And when you save a preset, a template, it's going to be applied automatically to all of the other images. And it's really, really cool.
Awesome. There's a quick question from Kevin in the chat. He wants to know if you would ever try to brighten his hands and legs.
I would a little more if I wasn't live right here, but probably what I would do, I might play in this case with, as you said, maybe super contrast.
Okay.
And I would try, let's say, to play with the midtones. It's not really midtones. I guess it's in the shadow. Let me see.
That's making a bit more of a difference.
I would do that. And then I would paint this effect only on the hands and legs. That's awesome. What I would do.
Excellent. Well, I think we're about out of time, but thank you so much for joining us, Michèle. This is great, and so many awesome tips for pulling out detail in backlit situations. I know a lot of people come in contact with those types of shots, and you gave some really great ideas on how to fix those situations. So appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Everyone, if you missed the link, Vanelli will probably post it again here in a moment. There's Michèle's Badass Action template pack is in the marketplace. So check that out. It has some really, really cool templates. So hopefully you guys can go grab that. And keep in mind that you use the coupon code DEEPDIVE2. That'll get you about $10 off of just about anything in the marketplace and on the software as well. So go check that out and make sure you grab those templates.